2023 is going to be a big year for us. It all starts with making more space, without having more cars, and that's where BEMPAC saves us big time. It looks deceiving because it looks like you can almost pull it by hand, but I know. This is a dream come true for me because we've been out of space and we haven't even shown you all the extra stuff we just got in. Getting the IndyCar, the four-wheeler, all that sort of stuff going. This is actually a very big lifesaver because it also saves us tons of money from not having to get a bigger shop. This is going to go in the corner where the Diablo and the FC are, and those are going to go up a row. It's gonna have to be started in a second, watch. Behind me is finally empty space. We are going to make this back corner the cool corner, where all the cars sit there, and the top ones are the ones that we aren't currently actively working on. The bottom ones are ones that we're ready to go racing or whatever the case may be. The lift from BEMPAC is a double wide surprise, and it isn't too tall, so it'll be a little tight, but the cars will not hit the ceiling. And we've measured it, and there'll be plenty of clearance for the car, the lift structure, and then the car underneath. This is all one lift. That's what's wild about it. You can see all four columns are over in that area. 2 bases there, 2 bases there. These 2 pieces on the top that extend all the way over are the things that all 4 wheel ramps sit on. So these 2 are kind of going to be the beginning of like the build, and that's actually what holds the whole thing kind of together. So put these in and those in, and that'll actually build the whole thing. The rest is just ramps that sit on the 2 rails here. There's honestly a lot of reasons why I like BEMPAC. Like, it's legit American made and owned and all that, and then it's just like everybody's so nice. These are the part I have no idea what to expect exactly.
Whoa, that's very yellow.
I was not expecting it to be yellow either. Oh, those are ramps. They don't waste space. Okay, that part's a lot of weight. Stable, very stable. So we'll see how accurate this is because we're going to purposely have both ends go to the front, and then we'll see if we still have 202 inches between them. So we'll see how far off we are on these 90 degrees. We're going to take bets. It should be 202 inches from this.
I'm going to say it might be off by ½ an inch.
Okay.
Max, honestly,
over or under?
1/4 of an inch.
I'm going to say it's 203.
Oh, wait. Let me get the good. I just like.
What about you?
I think it's pretty dead nuts.
My guess is that it would be wider. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling that it's going to be. So if it's supposed to be 202, I think it's going to be 203.
I'm gonna place my faith in us. It's gonna be exact.
Okay. Less than 1/4 inch off. I didn't even know how good we are. I didn't even know. I like to keep my head down, stay humble.
They're always like, oh no, it needs to be exact. The Bagay is not too good. And all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's teamwork right there. I think that was the hardest part, you know? I love that this is like the dankest steel that they could find. Like it serves only one purpose.
Who are you watching on TikTok? Why are you talking like this?
That's how I talk.
No, that's not how you talk.
I've talked like this since I was like 12.
No.
No
he
cap.
Said it
no
was
cap.
a low-key vibe this weekend.
Yeah.
He said this is the dankest steel. I don't know who you are.
This is probably the most dangerous part of what we're doing.
Hey!
There we go, there's some stuff. Okay, we're gonna continue moving it.
Oh, there's your ladders.
Okay, I called it. That was the question, is where was everything else?
Oh, all 4 of them too.
Yeah, that means that we don't have to mess with this stuff more yet.
That's good.
So crazy that the whole car are
Hanging on.
Yes.
We're gonna make one goalpost by falling it on the ground, and then sliding everything in, packing it, sealing the top, and then picking it up. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and get it right to here, get it down, and around town. And we'll want to get this down even. I'm in both. they're moving it around, but look at,
Precision.
honestly, this is a very smooth, straightforward experience. It does take a couple people. You can't do it solo. I barely think you could do it 2 people. Get your friends, safe friends, and some pizza and beer.
You didn't latch.
It wasn't latched. When you look at the overall measurements, because I was like, okay, can this be done? They include the ramps, which will probably take off because I don't want those like people hit their heads and shit on that. I thought it was gonna have to stick out that extra bit, and it doesn't. That's completely optional. So this is pretty compact. Impressively enough, this is one of the 2 things that you drive on in one car. Underneath it is all of the hydraulics that pull the whole cable system that then causes all the pulleys to move like a weightlifting machine, and it pulls everything up. But it's wild that it's actually hidden inside of this, and that's I guess why it's a little bit taller than I was expecting, because it's actually got the mechanics inside of it, and that makes everything else easy to get around. I'm very impressed with how it's packaged. So we are going to roll all 4 of them in. We're basically going to set them on top of those 2 posts on the 4 posts. See on the time lapse, we just put all those in there. That one being the heaviest with the ram. The first one's positioned with the bolt holes. The next ones, we'll go ahead and get them lined up because our cars are all much wider. There's a thing called a runway strap, not the same as runway strip. That is this piece of metal here that is bolted onto here. And what that's preventing, I'm assuming, is that when there's a load placed in the middle of it, it's being held from the ends, so that would want to bow out. So this is definitely going to help it hold its shape on all 3 of these. So we're gonna go ahead and get all these installed. This is what ends up pulling up on everything. This is pretty wild braided hose. There's nothing inside of it. It's all metal. I can't transport anything in here. So they definitely recommend using gloves, and I already understand why. Dad says you only have to be 10% smarter than the thing that you're working on, and I'm not that much smarter than this thing at the moment. What's really wild is this end ends up threading up through there. The other end of it goes into hidden under where Isaiah's at. Cable goes through a pulley under here, all the way along, goes through a pulley over where he's at, and then comes back to where Isaiah's at. The other end of it goes all the way across, and then goes up.
The way this thing works is actually pretty cool because it uses this cylinder to just hydraulically pressurize, and there's no end over there. All it does is this extends that way and it pulls the cables that way. So it's like technically like a free floating system, which is actually kind of wild. So over there, I needed to extend this all the way through, but it was really, really hard. So I had to use some air pressure and some hand pressure, and the extended finally. Look how long that shaft is. Nice shaft.
This is like when you clog the toilet. There's a lot of really cool safety features. This head has like a cam on it, right? And what happens is it can't just fall out. It's held in this way, and if it was to get loose, you have to spin it 180 degrees to then wedge it out of this. So that's a really nice safety feature of this whole system. Very impressive that way. Spin it 180, and then it's in. Let's put this back on. So we have all of the cables ran proper. It's actually pretty straightforward when you read the instructions. You see that it's just this big marionette controlled by one hydraulic system. And it was kind of throwing me off because the hydraulic ram extends to lower. It compresses, collapses to raise the whole system up. Normally you pressurize the system and it expands, and then you release that pressure and let it come back down. But in this case, it's a little bit backwards. So the hydraulic ram's all the way out, and that's why if we were to let the whole thing go right now, there's about a foot of slack, just like the foot of height we haven't gotten it down to because we're on the locks. Just like on that one where you mechanically pull it to disengage the safeties, this one is actually pneumatic, so it uses air. There's actually a vacuum hose by that beautiful man right down there. Not his flashlight. That's actually vacuum hose. But
Almost the same girth.
we're gonna have to run air hose to each of the 4 corners that pull a vacuum, or pressure, I guess maybe that's more likely pressure, to disengage all 4 of the safety locks. You see how the cables are all bowed out right now? That is actually a safety feature that I'm really impressed with, is that when the slack occurs, so say a line snaps, well, right now there's slack, and so that causes that little sleeve pulley. When that pulley no longer has tension, it engages another safety. So just really impressive how safe this really can be. So we're gonna go on this next step. The problem is we weren't planning to have air.
I wonder if that power unit provides air.
Yeah, let's take a look at the power unit.
This holds 9,000 pounds in total.
Looks pretty much the same as the one on our other lift.
You have to supply air to the lift to have air safety.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Which is
I wish
okay.
it was
I have
hydraulic.
air right here, so it's not super far.
Yeah.
This is the airline that I want you to use. It's real flexible, kind of like a quick connect lift that we had in the past that kind of failed. But what they do here is a compression fitting, not a quick release fitting. So this is going to clamp onto this, and inside here, there's a little piece that comes up that goes inside of here. So that way, when this all tightens together, this tightens on the ferrule on the inside, on the ferrule on the outside, and it makes a hard fitting, and it shouldn't go anywhere after that.
So I really like the idea of my wheels not falling and rolling off the front. So you actually add these on back here. Now, the fact is, the car won't be going this far because the wall's here. But at least if some shorter nose or butt of the car, it's gonna definitely stop a wheel. This is the other thing that really sets off like the right look. This is a nice little touch. So if somebody drops something on there, you don't break your pneumatic line or break the spring or whatever the case may be. We ran out of ATF in the shop for all the other transmissions and everything, so Joel just did an emergency run to like one of AutoZone's like warehouse distribution centers at this late at night. And so this thing takes 3.5 gallons. I know there's a couple of you out there that were like, hey, don't use ATF in this, but it's literally rated for it. And I understand that there might be whatever, but it works perfectly. It's rated for it. It is time to test the power. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the circuit breakers.
Oh, it made noise.
They're fitting.
Oh yeah, that one's not nice. Sorry.
That's how first startups usually go around here.
Look at here, get a video from over here. Well, I see a lift lifting. We're gonna have to do some adjustments to the heights of everything, as well as the bases and everything, because you're hearing like a Christmas carol going on. Ching, ting, 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 ting. It needs to all connect at the same exact time, or at least close to it. But this is like every quarter. There we go. It is the first time we are going to load all the cars on and under the lift. It is 1 a.m. and we are all exhausted but excited. We'll have to hook up an airline, to release all of the rams. But Isaiah's gonna face his fears and get the FC started. With 4-post lifts, you have to get your rear wheels lined up, or whichever wheels are about to get on second, because otherwise, even with how much I lined them up, you can see that the rear wheels are still off. Massively crucial. Compared to a 2-post, where you can kind of get roughly, this, you fall off if the rear wheels are coming in at an angle like this, and the front will be all the way over here, and the rear wheel's just like way in this middle area, so it's a little bit more difficult. Here comes the real fun part. Wow, is it really that wide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really that fucking
Yeah.
big.
That is sick. There you go. That is the first moment. That means business. Even with having the butts of the cars out, like that still is.
I thought I wanted the front with the butts are
That's really impressive.
You become a man today.
This lift can lift them much higher, but as you can tell, we forgot to put the broken fluorescents up higher into the ceiling, so I was worried about the FC hitting there. But if we lift those up a little bit more, we still stay away from the rafters and all that sort of stuff with ease. And as you can tell, look, we can already fit everything short of an SUV, not a crossover would fit, but an SUV or truck. We can fit the other two cars under there perfectly. So this is a dream come true. And yeah, if we wanted to like make it look less imposing, we would flip the front smaller sides of the cars and you would get, you know, a little bit different, but that says something.
It is pretty small.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That is really badass. That was what I was dreaming of, and that's exactly what, wow. I can't thank Ben Pack enough for making this possible, because honestly, in many cases, if you do it right, that's actually a massive savings. The lift is quality, it's expensive, it's a big investment, and this allows us not to have to get a bigger shop and not have to pay for storage and all that stuff, and those monthly fees and the increases, all gone. I don't have to do that. I just have to not buy more cars. Well, Isaiah's doing weird things with his exhaust manifold. I got this as a major upgrade for the shop, especially since a couple of them already burnt out. This is like 3 weeks behind schedule, and this was supposed to be here for the lift. And I think it also requires some work. I'm very obsessed with good lighting. I think that, you know, having high CRI lighting, quality, and in this case now with LEDs really being a big deal, where we're gonna replace those huge ballast things with this. Now the problem is, there are two types of LEDs that replace fluorescents. One is where you wire them directly to 120 volts. Two is that you wire them into, or you reuse the ballast, because fluorescents don't work that easy. The problem is, I got the type that requires me to rewire the internals, skip the ballast altogether. I'm a little bummed out that they aren't frosted. The important part is these are actually very bright compared to the ones you can get at Lowe's. That's what I'm telling myself. We'll see if we can get some more light in that corner that also kind of beams back and fills the shop. We are completely getting rid of the ballast. And thankfully these wires are a little bit longer, so we'll take these out, wire nut them. We're probably gonna want to get some like privacy tape, you know, like stuff that like kind of
Diffuses it.
diffuses. Thank you. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Well, that's bright. That's really bright.
Wow.
We needed that.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in.
That's right.
Yeah, they like kind of come online too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to make sure that the camera has ISO 100, basically automatically in a normal shot, isn't blown out in the shop. But as many of you guys know, low light is normally really hard. This camera's great for it. Whoa, that was cool. Part of them lit up, part of them didn't. It's looking good. If that color calms down, which it already is, it looks like it's kind of calming down for me. But
Yeah, you look good.
That was really good.
yeah. And then once that set go on, that I think that one would move over. It's just about the ladder out. I'll probably move over one past the Diablo, so it lights up everything down there.
So I think in this one you can move, instead of being all the way over there, you could be on top of the car and halfway over there. It's not really a lot over there. But that one, since you have all the parking stuff over there, definitely move it on top of that.
This is the last shot of what this will look like. Here we go. Oh,
We're down to 160 now.
160?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's kind of like if you ever had dental work where like they shave part of your tooth off, you're like, I am never gonna get used to this, and like a week later you're like, oh, I don't even remember what it used to be like. Same thing with the lights. It's gonna be like, wow, that's so weird. A week later you'll be used to this, but what?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you've ever been to the dentist, I'm gonna oop it and alley it right into what? I gotta clean that up. What are you guys gonna do?
I'm gonna hit him with it.
I've seen better backwoods Alabama videos than Oh my god. I realize I'm in direct line of fire with this one.
No, we'll move out the way. I'm just getting prepared. Ready on 3? No.
Oh my god, you guys both beat me.
3, 2, 1.
I called it, you morons. Physics. I hate you so much.
Fun.
Yeah.
Was really fun.
It's brighter in here.
We might have to take. It just seems like he's more efficient in the light. That corner, I still need to light that back up. I guarantee if he goes over to the shitty park corner, he's just gonna be like a little like.
I think it's something from my car.
I've never seen him work this fast in his life.
I'm photosynthesis, you don't understand.